Hi. Today, Take That welcomes James Brown of Trusted Stays. So thanks, James, for agreeing to participate here.
Thank you for
For the
having me.
viewers, it's just to recap the idea behind Take 10 is to introduce the person and the business behind the profile, behind the LinkedIn profile or whatever. The idea being it breaks ice and hopefully then smooths the way to business, better business. So if I hand over to you, James, just to introduce yourself a little before we interrogate you. But yeah, over to you.
Not a problem. Thank you very much for having me. Great to be part of the show. And yeah, so my name's James, originally from New Zealand, in Auckland as my hometown. And I spent about 8 years now in the UK and loved every minute of it. My background's in hospitality, so I'd run restaurants back in New Zealand and run a restaurant here in London as well, where I'm based. And also worked in five-star hotels as well. And then about 6 years ago, got a job in this sector and kind of property management. It was a short-term rental company, but we did service apartments as well. And then a couple of years ago, had an opportunity to work for Trusted Stays, which I took, and it's been a fantastic initiative because it was born out of the pandemic. But I'm sure we'll kind of we'll get into that later on in the show, I'm sure.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's very interesting, actually. Immediately, because I must say this to the audience: this is absolutely not rehearsed. So I'm learning things as we go along. So I'm going to pick up on a
Yeah,
couple
of
of
course,
those
of course.
because the 8 years in the UK. Because my one of the questions I had in mind was Northern Hemisphere or Southern Hemisphere.
Oh, there you go.
So what do you think about that? Do you is it the Northern Hemisphere or what's
Oh
what do
my
you think?
God. That's like telling me to choose between children. It's an impossible decision.
It is really. It's a very broad, general one. Should we move? I'll move on from that one in
Oh,
that
no,
case.
no,
Should I?
happy to unpick that. Absolutely. I mean, I get asked this question a lot in terms of like, well, if you grew up in New Zealand and people always think of New Zealand of like beaches and weather and, Lord of the Rings scenery and all that kind of stuff. People are like, why did you come to sunny London, And, the answer is New Zealand's always going to be my home. I love it there. I'm always back there, every couple of years. When we're allowed to fly and when we can afford to fly. But also, the opportunities for traveling when you're based in London or anywhere in the UK and you've got, 5 airports to choose from London. You can fly anywhere, almost anywhere in the world relatively easily and before COVID, relatively cheaply as well. Is just incredible. So, when I talk to friends back home, I'm like, oh yeah, I was just in Paris for the weekend or went to Amsterdam for a couple of days. They're just like, their minds are just like, what? How is that possible? Because really from
Yeah.
New Zealand, it's quite far to fly anywhere for the weekend. It's a bigger trip. So yeah, and I'm very lucky to have spent a lot of time here, and it's been great.
It's not nicely put, really, that because home is always home.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, of course, will be exceptions, but generally speaking, where you've those formative years and what have you. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
You,
absolutely.
you touched on your background there as well with hospitality and restaurants. So forgive me for asking this one, but is it fish and chips or fish and chips?
Russian shot is my strong Kiwi accent that probably I'm going to get mocked online for this. So.
That's going to be that's the only one I'm going to do, but it seemed to fit quite well, and actually it was one that I did look up earlier. So yeah, that was always going to happen. Coca-Cola or Pepsi?
Oh,
Be honest, you
can I
can't
say,
tell the difference. No
water?
one can.
Yeah, I mean, either or. It's got to have a dash of, a dash of bourbon in it or something for sure.
Don't start saying that one. It's yeah, exactly coming out of the festivity.
Exactly.
To oh, there's a few bottles to finish off there. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
Now that reminds me, just very quickly, of a conversation I had once with a Polish relative, where it was the first time we were meeting. Had opened a bottle of vodka, and I was told it was bad manners not to finish it, and it finished me off. That's for sure.
Wow.
Mm.
Oh, that's
You
good.
start it, so you finish it.
Good effort. That's amazing.
Very
Yeah, I'm not.
brutal.
I'm not sure I could survive a session with
Yeah.
a whole bottle of vodka, but you could put a little bit of that into my Pepsi or my Coke. I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, exactly. Let's have a look. Are you work at night or in the morning? Are you a morning person or a night person? Do you find yourself kind of burning the midnight oil to get some work done, or do you say, no, I'll get it
Evening.
done in the
I'm
morning?
a night owl for sure. I am useless in the mornings.
You
I
what? Sorry.
I'm useless in the mornings. Honestly, it takes me at least two coffees to wake up a little bit and get kind of active and social.
Mm.
That's for sure. But I've started the last few months. I've started cycling to work in the mornings. It's like a 25-minute cycle. It's not long, but that's been really helpful. That's been good. But I still find myself at the night. That's when my ideas start to come, and that's when I start kind of really kind of churning through things. So yeah, I generally I'm one of the last ones in the office.
Yeah,
Generally.
yeah, yeah. No, I have to say I'm like that as well. Keeping an eye on the time there, so because we've got to leave some time for you to
Oh,
talk about trusted stays. One last question, I think. Rap or rock? So, do you music wise? What's your
rock and roll for sure. That's my bread and butter. I studied music in New Zealand a long time ago. And yeah, I play in a couple of bands, a couple of rock and roll bands. So yeah, that would be my bread and butter. That being said, I mean, there's some fantastic, hip hop and rap artists out there as well that I really thoroughly enjoy listening to, and especially when you get those kind of blended genres and you get a lot of that kind of street soul and jazz and things like that. That's really really interesting and really cool. But yeah, I think if I go back to when I was growing up and getting into music and getting into my parents' kind of catalog, you've got a lot of like Pink Floyd, Tom Petty, Elton John. They're all kind of rock and roll, artists.
yeah, yeah. So it's got to, got to be there's got to be a guitar in there somewhere. Then I'm guessing.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure,
so
absolutely.
right, got a couple of minutes left. We're trying to keep to the 10. So over to you, James. That really thank you for sharing those for sharing answering those questions. Over to you to talk about trusted stays and how you feel that you can collaborate and well, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think going back to the kind of origins of trusted stays would be the best place to start. I think I mentioned we were born in during the pandemic. I was working as a property manager, as I said, and travel was kind of all shut and closed. Governments closed borders. Leisure was kind of non-existent for a lot of it. So we didn't have a lot of kind of guests coming in or inquiries coming in from Airbnb, Booking.com, Expedia, all those kind of normal channels. But one of the homeowners I was working with, had this great idea. Who was like, "Oh, look, I'm not using the home that you're managing in London. Is there someone who needs it? Could I donate it to a key worker or emergency worker to try and help stop the spread of COVID?" And so that's what the team and I did. And that kind of initiative almost grew through. We got more owners involved who wanted to be a part of it, and it transformed into this industry-wide initiative called Homes for NHS. We had about 30 different partners. I think we triaged about 3,000 requests across the UK, donated about 20 million pounds worth of accommodation for the NHS. And this kind of got us thinking, well, look, there's obviously demand for corporate accommodation within our sector, because all of our property is extremely high quality. We're delivering that same service and that standard as a hotel would, with the kind of, safety and security aspect of things. So, this could be something game changing for our industry. And so we took this to the UK government, and they gave us 3 challenges that we had to solve. So the first one was, they wanted to make sure that the safety and security of their, workers was met. And we said, well, look, all of our suppliers that we work with, that we're working with in this initiative, have accreditation. So that kind of covers that level of standard, that we could operate on the same level of standard as the hotel chains that they were booking through. So that was good. Then they said, well, look, we're not going to contract with 30 different companies, individually. And so that's where we came up with the brand Trusted Stays, to kind of triage all those requests. And then the third aspect of it was, the government asked us what our GDS code was, and that kind of, we had to do a bit of research in there, and Trusted Stays has developed a connection into Amadeus, which is one of the leading GDS providers. So we can connect inventory into the GDS and sell to corporate and government that way through our technology. So that's been kind of one really, really fascinating journey over the last couple of years, to essentially kind of move and push those 2 industries together. It's been really, really fascinating and interesting. And the last few months, we've started to see performance of the business really start to ramp up. So 2025 is really going to be a scaling year for us.
Oh, that's really interesting. I mean, there's 2 things, and I stress again to the viewers. I'm hearing this for the first time. Of course, I know about Trusted Stays, but I'm hearing that for the first time. The presentation as such, and accreditation. You mentioned accreditation there. I think so important, for any operator to be accredited in order to engender that trust. And also, for those who are viewing who aren't familiar with the GDS, that's Global Distribution Systems, the originally airline booking systems. They book flights and now can book accommodation. Hotels have been in there a long time, and more recently, service departments. And as James was saying there, so the GDS is used by so-called TMCs, travel management companies, like sort of American Express Business Travel, as just one example. And so if you're working with Trusted Stays and you're going onto the GDS, then that opens up all of those opportunities for corporate
Absolutely.
business.
It's a huge channel that's largely unexplored by our industry, just purely by the basis that there's a few barriers to entry that we've managed to crack and solve and break down into kind of manageable kind of processes. But also, people who use the GDS, like you said, travel agents, Amex, Navan, Carlson Wagonly, BCD, Internova, those are all our clients as well. And they will never book on a leisure OTA or through an agency. They will only ever use the GDS. That's just what they use. The whole back end system that connects into their corporate client, who are the buyers, who they represent, it's all streamlined and processed. They can reconcile their reports off it. So we're now able to plug into that system, which is fantastic.
Yeah, good, very good point. Yeah, with all the reporting that these people have to do. Yeah, exactly. Oh, wonderful. Well, but
sorry, there's a bit of delay there.
Yeah, no, it's amazing, very, very interesting, very informative. So thank you very much indeed, James, for your time. Anybody there interested in what you've just heard, and I can't imagine why you shouldn't be, then contact James on via LinkedIn or your email address. James, do you want to shout it out?
Yeah, James at trustedstays.co.uk. There's a form on the website as well. Just get in touch. Don't be shy.
Yeah, exactly. Excellent. Okay, once more, James, thanks very much indeed. And speak soon. And
you're a star. Thank you, Richard. Really appreciate it. Cheers, mate. Bye.